Oh, sure. This is ridiculous. We usually
Dan wasn't home for Christmas.
Hey, Patrick.
They left the day after.
I think we're good. At least I hope so.
They're leaving for about 3 or 4 months on their way to Florida right now. Florida, based on where else it's 8 o'clock, but it's 1 o'clock. All the meeting order.
I was so glad you guys did this. Me too.
Okay, the agenda for today's meeting. I have one addition I would like to make
Okay.
to visit a little bit on committees.
Okay.
Need to include in here. There's 11 different committees that we have to figure out who's going to be on them.
Sure.
Okay.
Usually we do those in appointing officially in January at the January meeting, but yeah,
there is
there's
meeting
a lot.
coming up prior to
Yeah.
our meeting that in January that we need to do it before.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything else on the agenda that we know?
Let's see. Next era, the lights. Is that something I was told by 2 different people that they were told that the next era said the lights would only blink when airplanes were approaching. And they're blinking all the time, just like New Salem's and these up here. In fact, these up here don't blink near as much as out west or down south.
I believe we were told that these would be the same until they're all waiting for the right equipment,
Okay.
which is on order, the way I understand it, what I've heard. That
So
it takes years to get it. Probably comes from some foreign country.
Yeah.
I don't know that for a fact, but I think that's the reason that some of these up north aren't.
Okay.
But they're supposed to, the switch over is supposed to be made.
Okay.
So it's only activated by flights or aircraft.
Okay.
Or maybe clones nowadays, I don't know.
That'll be $50,
And
please.
then the vehicle bids are on here. Okay.
Oh,
So, okay with, got a motion to approve the agenda with the addition.
So moved.
Second motion. Okay, motion second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Have you read through the minutes of the December 12th meeting?
Didn't seem like a lot until I started typing them out. Yeah.
Whenever you get finished reading through them, then we'll see if there's any corrections or additions or.
I have no questions.
I'll make a motion to approve minutes from last meeting.
Okay, I read through them too, and it looked like
Looked
everything
good
was
to me.
okay. Okay, we have a motion,
I'll second
have
that.
a second, all in favor? Aye. Minutes approved. We have the bills.
So tiny this time. I'm not complaining at all.
On your desk.
I need a copy of whatever you put $5,000 on the music card for.
That was that trailer, the gooseneck trailer. For
What,
half.
what piece of equipment did we buy from Cooper? Is that?
Those are cutting edges.
$30,000, was that one?
Cutting edges for the
Cutting
waste.
Hay trucks, the ones with the carbide in them. Yep.
They cost that much?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Really? Just, there's not many miles of asphalt road in this county.
No, there
But it
isn't.
don't take long. That new truck, it made one round, and guess what? It burned up that set of edges that were on there. If you don't
The
put the,
factory ones.
yep. If you don't put the carbide on, they don't last.
Every day you're out.
You only make a day. If you had to run it more than once, it made a round and a half, and that's all it did. And cutting edges were gone. If you don't use the carbide,
Is that the same one the state uses?
yep. But there's enough there. There's enough for like 3 changes on each truck. So it's not just,
So theoretically, we're done for the winter.
yeah, we shouldn't have to. Yeah. If we don't have a lot of snow, it'll be enough for 2 years. You know? So yeah, it's not where. Well, we used to get them from, they quit. They don't make them no more, so we had to switch companies. So,
You know, when I looked at that bill, I was like,
oh
where
yeah.
are we getting all the way down in wherever it was coming out of?
Handle it anymore.
What's that?
ASCO doesn't handle it.
No.
So I suppose there's no competition.
There's only 2 companies that really make them right now. Yeah.
That's the problem.
Can't remember repair, that's Kenny, you?
Yep.
So is that for like oil changes or something?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Yeah, I think. wasn't
Oil
there-
changing, whatever repairs.
On the cop car? And then the warranty chemical and equipment for spray equipment. Is that for a new sprayer or something?
That was-
Rick ordered that.
Sprayer that you can put on side by sides. I think the weed board had
Oh.
decided at the last meeting to use some of the TAG grant to buy bigger tanks
Yep.
for people to use to put on the backs of their side by sides. Right?
From the tag grant.
Yeah. Well, it comes out of the weed board fund first, and then they reimburse like 75% of it or whatever.
Yep.
There's some add-on bills here.
That's just an option. I also do it.
We don't close it.
Some of those are.
Yeah, Nick just emailed and was like,
No, we don't. Go
he's like, you're open all day, right? I said, yes.
That's a progress payment for the bridge inspections.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha.
We'll go to Linda. Yeah.
You just sign them?
You need to sign it.
Oh.
I think I signed it. Didn't I? Yeah. I signed this one. Good.
Is that the one we signed?
Yeah. Motion to pay the bills.
So, no.
Second.
All in favor? Well, I need a roll call vote.
Aye.
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 Approved. Pay the bills. Two more to sign.
I haven't had it till 2 because usually I kind of puts the same for the morning.
Yeah.
However,
Okay, other business. Story agreement. Dave Mackey.
I sent it to all of you whenever that was, last week or the week before. I called him. I said, are you still good with doing this? And he said yes, on the condition that we increase the amount to 400 from the 300 that we had agreed to last year.
Well, how much storage do we use? How much do we get on the average from them?
Last year, it wasn't maybe, I don't know, it wasn't that much last year. If we get a wet year, then we use a little bit more, but not a lot.
That's
10 loads? 20 loads?
Well, 10 probably. Like last year, I think we only used maybe 5, I think. It wasn't.
I'd have to look at,
Yeah,
you know,
and
like what we actually paid in.
It wasn't much last year.
I mean, in the grand scheme of things, if we're having to bring it in from someplace else, we're probably going to end up paying a little bit more.
Well,
Mileage would-
Is there any other place we can get it?
up by Beulah, I know Mercer County's got some up there, but I don't know if they would. You know, that's the only one I know. And
I don't know.
they did
If
that.
we wanna.
They did that other road up there. They did west over there, and they for what they got it for, we couldn't even buy it. We couldn't even truck. We wouldn't even dig it out of the hole for what they were paying for. I think they only give them maybe $150 a load. So that's why I let them guys do it. It was cheaper to do it that way than for us to haul it here way out to 49 almost. So.
Oh, right.
I don't know what you're saying there. We should be getting it a different
Well, if
place.
we could get it up there, I mean, for that price, I mean, it's almost a load of gravel for already to what you can,
Oh, yeah.
you know.
There is Scoria down by Ruther's and Earhart's, which B and I owns now, and then we have some. But when I was talking to Daryl, tell you run the loader out there every time for a couple loads. I don't know if that's justifiable either. And I don't know how much either of us, any of us have anymore.
Well, that's
We've been digging into it forever.
most time when we go out, we like you said, unless you end up in a big spot, you're in, you take 3, 4, 5 loads maybe, and that's about it. But
We should probably renew the contract.
I don't hurt. Yeah, I don't hurt. Doesn't mean you have to do it.
We're not necessarily buying,
It's just right.
it's just keeping our options open.
Right.
Okay, could
I'll
I
make a motion that we
motion to
pay Nathan
approve?
Hickey the extra 400 load.
So, second.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
I
I just need him to sign it. And I'll call Nathan. He needs to sign it. Okay.
Planning and zoning board appointments.
Well, he's the only one I talked to. He was interested in doing it.
Randy Schmidt's called Price and he's gonna get it stepped down. And he's the one that called Gary Price to see if Gary was interested.
Yeah,
And
and
of course,
I,
Robert Moore's interested.
yeah,
I believe we need to advertise.
Okay. I don't know what protocol is on that.
well, we've advertised in the past because we've never had anybody interested. But we now have 2 people that are interested where I don't think we necessarily have to advertise.
I know of one more that's interested. What's it? So,
Oh, who is that?
I don't know. I'm not gonna let you know. Because if we don't advertise, there might be 1 or 2 or 3 more that are interested. I think, is it required that we advertise? It's recommended that we advertise for board appointments.
And most counties do. And then there's just a simple application that they can fill out and you guys can review.
And I think we should.
I have no issue.
Kind of like a generic job employment
Yeah,
application.
it's just
Okay,
very simple. It's
Okay.
on a sheet.
Yeah.
It's not, I can get it.
okay. Because I know we have a generic application, but if there's something a little bit more simple that to use, yeah.
So that we would have to advertise, we do advertise, which we should be doing all along. We probably need to advertise also for the other boards, like the weed board.
Okay.
Would that include park board?
Let's see, we don't appoint anybody to the park. Oh, no, yeah, we do, we appoint, we have 1 person there, right? Right
Well,
now,
we have 2. Because I was the chairman and then Daryl Hyde was the other guy and then 3 commissioners. So yeah, we do appoint 2 of them.
Uh-huh.
And Daryl Hyde would take the chairman because we asked him there at the last meeting, so we just have to put it out and see if anybody else is interested.
Alice, are we right on that your understanding is the
Any board that you would appoint,
city board?
it would just be best practices to advertise, accept applications, and then review them and then appoint from there. And then that gives the whole community the opportunity to serve on boards too.
So do we have to have a full board by January 30th? Is our next, or when's our next meeting?
January 30th is the next planning and zoning meeting. Be nice to have a full board by then, but
When do the terms expire?
the end
This
of this
year.
month, like tomorrow.
That's why it's news that we're gonna advertise.
Oh, the terms aren't up yet, no.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
is the
Winter
last
planning
day.
Zoning is tomorrow, you said?
Tomorrow.
For
Yep.
2 of them.
I've got a question, Lee. The weed board has always been, members have been appointed by districts. So if you ask for open applications, are you gonna do away with the districts then? Because Brian and I each represent.
I guess I wasn't aware that you had districts for the weed.
Yeah, the
board.
weed board does have districts or precincts or however they do that. Yeah, they do districts. And that was put in place, I'm assuming, when the weed board was created. It doesn't have to be, but it's always been that way here.
Right, I'm just curious.
Yeah,
Yeah.
is the best, you guys know is it best to have districts?
Well, I mean,
I know the one you struggle to get people to even be on the board from the district because it was Ethan Stagley, but then we found out that he wasn't even in that district. So
Right.
then it was Dorothy because she was, but yeah.
from what I understand, most people that are on the weed board, I was called by a county commission asked to be on the weed board when whoever was representing my district before retired. I was called and asked to do it. And I think that's pretty much how it's been handled. By the county
Yes.
commissioners have asked for people out of that district to represent it.
Can we do this next time that we do it?
It would be
Because we're like,
up to them.
we're in a crunch time at this point.
You have 2 that are going to be.
Well, there's
2 that are interested who have.
No, but
there's 2 expiring
So you still have 5.
for planning and zoning, which you have for planning and zoning per century code, you have to have 7
Right.
because we have a commission of 3, and that's a required amount for. I mean, for
Right.
weed board, you can have 3, 5, or 7 board members. And
I just don't
however
know
the
why this
commission-
wasn't mentioned last time or at the beginning of December. When this
Yeah,
came
because
about.
usually when we have openings like that, it's always just been if somebody's interested, they come and let a commissioner know, or they come in and they let somebody know that they're interested in being on the board. We've never advertised unless we have openings and there is 0 interest, is usually how we've done it. But not saying that we continue to do it that way, but
No, but if
that's
we
just
know
how we've
the
done it.
protocol next time, I mean,
Yep.
if we want
Could
to
you
do it.
have a planning and zoning meeting with just the 5? Because you would still have a quorum, right?
We only
what does
we
Patrick
only have
think?
one.
Patrick is on the computer. What does Patrick think?
He's talking, but
The only ones
Oh.
that are expired are the 2, but the ones
One
wants to come back,
one wants to come back.
so that would only be 1 we're
Possibly.
looking at then.
Hang on. Why is this not working? Patrick, I can't hear you.
I'm sorry, what?
Okay, hang on. No, we're talking about the board members right now. So we have 2 terms expiring for planning and zoning and 2 terms expiring for weed board. There are 3 people now interested in planning and zoning. One of the board members has said he would like to not continue, and one that is expiring said he would be interested in continuing. But I know he also said he realizes that it's a commission decision. Discussion right now is, do we have to advertise for those open spots, like as a job advertisement, or is it just the commission can make that decision? Because the way it's been done in the past is, sometimes people have called the commissioners if they know there's an open spot, and the commissioners say, yep, we'll appoint you. Or in cases of like weed board, if somebody was retiring, they call a person within that district and ask if they want to be on the board, and that's just how they ended up on the board. It was never advertised for. So we're just kind of asking legally what we're supposed to do.
Yep, I think it should be advertised, and here's why: because the county does reimburse members of those committees for their participation. And since it's money that's coming out of the county, I do think that it should be opened up to, people to apply for it.
What about the meeting on the 30th?
So what do we do with planning and zoning? Because the terms technically end tomorrow. and we have a meeting on the 30th of January. Are we able to have that meeting without a full board because 5 would still be a quorum, and then we determine who would be on there after that?
Yep, that would be just fine as long as there's a quorum.
Okay.
Then Lonnie
Do
just
we need to
can't show up.
advertise for 2 weeks?
You know, I
Or is there-
don't know there's any specific time limit. You know, if you want to run it for 1 week, 2 weeks, that's up to you. But I just think because it is money that's being paid out by the county to people, anyone that's interested should be given an opportunity to apply.
Okay.
Is that, I think, sounds like we know what.
I guess I just have a question for the weed board. You know, you guys had your districts, as you called. Now you don't really represent, you don't have to go check that area yourself, right?
It's not
'Cause
our
Rick
job.
does all that?
It's not our job. Rick is the lead
Right.
officer.
He's the weed officer.
So do we need 7 on the weed board yet?
I guess that would be the county commission's decision.
Well, but that's why I'm asking your opinion.
You know, I
Do 7 do any more than 5 or
guess
3?
I mean, I've had people call,
I've had
in
people
our
call and we've
district.
gone out and checked, you know, in our area, and I guess it's been that way, so you know,
And like our meetings, somebody's always gone. I mean, it's nice to have enough people. I mean, we still have a quorum, but
Well, with 5 members, you'd only need 3 for a quorum.
I know.
Compared to now, you'd need 4.
right, you know, as far as I'm concerned, the district system works fine, and like, there's been the one district that we've had problems with that I think, Dorothy Doer stepped in now and took that position. We've had some issues with that district, other districts not at all, as far as I know. So,
I think visiting with Rick, you thought we should stay with 7-member board. It works because you've been involved with it. Paul.
Yeah. You know, it works good. If we're, to me, I think if we have people that want to back off, would be a time to maybe look at that. It's worked well. Yes, I like the 7-member board.
That salary, I know you guys had asked for the salary survey of what other board members are paid in different counties, and it does have like total members appointed by county on there too. And just glancing at it, I would say most are at 5, but I would say the next second would be more at 7. There's maybe 2 or 3 that are 3-member boards, but most of them
I
are.
believe the more people you have involved, the better off you are.
So if we advertised, if nobody from the certain district where there's opening applies,
well, I guess for this year, I know Dorothy and Linda's terms are both up.
Mhm.
I mean, if they're willing to serve again, I don't see an issue with that.
See if they're willing to apply, I guess. If we're gonna move to having to advertise and have people apply for those positions, if there's somebody willing to apply, then we know more of keeping it at 7. I mean, if there's people that don't apply in those districts, then we have to really look at
You know, I
how you
guess
do it.
in my case, I'm getting older. Someday I might retire, and if nobody wants to replace me, that would be fine. So, you know, if I can't find my own replacement, or commissioners can't find a replacement, that would be probably the time to do it. I don't know.
What we've done in the past, though, is that normally if we have somebody that's not wanting to continue, I've always gone out and found the applicant. And part of it is that there's not a lot of people out there, and sometimes you have to twist arms to get people to want to serve in a public role. And so if you're going to look for an application process, you're probably going to end up with 0. And so we've had to do a lot of phone calls and bring names to the county commission in the past. That's the way we've had it done.
You know, you said before I think you've had applications, put out applications before, advertised for applications, and you had 0 response. So, I mean, there's always that.
The planning and
I
zoning.
don't know, have we,
Planning and zoning is at large, yes. Yep, they're not in districts. They're just an at large. I don't know that they've ever been in districts. I think it's always just been at large.
Just whoever wanted it.
Yep.
Well, I think we just go ahead and we put out applications and we'll see if we get results.
See what happens.
If we-
Well, we can
we
do
don't,
that, and I
then-
guess if not, then we go from there.
Yep.
Okay, I'll make sure to get that in the paper then, and
Oh,
the website and whatever. So
that works, is it?
I'm okay with that.
I guess what I would do if I was you guys, I would ask the members that are, their terms are expired, and you probably have already, if they would be willing to serve again. If not, you know, you would have one less decision to make.
Well, I don't think in the past, anybody that's willing to serve, we've just reappointed them. Yeah, when their term expires.
Have Dorothy and Linda been contacted, Jaden?
they both said they would do it. I mean, depending on what you guys say about board size or however you want to do it, I guess.
Well, I guess we do get applications and basically, it's up to us to make decisions who we appoint.
Mm-hmm.
But the ones, if there are interested people, they do have a chance.
Anybody extra?
Yep.
Okay.
Be kind of nice to have, if there are over the two, a list of people that would be interested in the event that we have to fill a spot on one of those boards down the road. You know, if somebody is unable to continue serving on the board or whatever, if we're kind of in a pinch, we'd still probably have to advertise, but we'd have their application on file.
Okay. I suppose we need a motion on this to advertise for positions.
Okay, I'll make that motion to advertise for all the boards, for open positions.
Second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Does that include park board also? Okay.
Yeah, that would
One
include park
spot for
One
park
spot.
board? Okay. Okay.
Any other discussion?
I guess as far as the park board, they don't have term limits.
We just
I
need
guess
somebody
I've
to
been
fill
on
that
forever,
spot,
so-
and they don't get paid either.
Yeah.
They don't get paid like we
So I
were
don't know.
Well,
implying.
then
So they
maybe we
do.
wouldn't have to then for park board. if
For
they don't
park
get
board,
paid.
do we have to advertise for that one? Okay.
It would be their decision.
Okay.
I guess one thing we could do is ask if anybody's interested in being on the park board,
Sure.
because we gotta fill that one spot up.
So then
We'll advertise for it too.
Okay.
Yep. I can do that.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, approved. So did we covered what we needed to with the planning and zoning and the weed board? Or is there
Yeah, I
more?
think unless there's anything else you guys have on either.
You guys have any more?
Well, yeah. We're still looking about getting our money back for the
That was transferred over to
our transfer back.
Okay, the procedure, well, I better not say because I'm not quite sure how that procedure works, but you have to have something planned for the usage of the money. Is that true?
Yes. We have money allocated. You know, kind of a plan from everything that I've been told.
Do you guys have any plan yet? Or I haven't heard nothing talking to
Well,
somebody.
you know, the first plan is how, when you're going to do something is how are you going to pay for it? That'd be where
You know,
Well, we
that's,
kinda guaranteed the money's there.
that's where we're starting at.
You know, we'd like to know if the money would be available, if we would have.
Well, I think we made that plain.
What's that?
We made it plain. I talked to Brian and then, what's his name?
Gene,
Nope. Byron, when he called the other day, the money's there.
Okay.
So like Lee said, the way it sells, once you have a plan, the money's there. We can't take it and use it for roads or anything else.
Okay, that's the other question I have. I mean, these funds are levied through mill levy for the weed board. So my question is, can these funds be used for anything else? If they can't be used for anything else, why are they transferred into the general fund?
Well, there was a procedure why it was done. I think that's it explained to you. And I guess I got a question why so many mills. The taxpayers are putting the bill for that.
I guess this is how other counties handle it, as far as I know, Dave. If there is a buildup of money in the weed board fund, we have the right to assess no mills, or half a mill, or 1 mill, or a quarter of a mill, until that fund is drawn down to the legal 75% limit. There's no penalty involved with that at all, as far as I know. But that is the procedure that it's done, and I know other counties handle it that way.
And we have to have, correct me if I'm wrong, we have to have assessed 3 mills or the equivalent of 3 mills to qualify for the LAP grant. The LAP grant is a big deal for us.
You have to have that amount budgeted.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have that amount budgeted.
Right,
Like
and if we
$3.1
have that much cash in reserve, we don't have to levy any mills. We can put that money forward to meet that requirement.
But that's got to be where they came up with the 3 mills, right, Rick? That's before my time.
We're not required to levy 3 mills. Anything up to 3 mills, if we have a cash reserve built up, we can reduce our mills and bring our cash down to that 75% level.
It was reduced.
For this coming year, yes, it was reduced.
That's been taken care of already, that part.
Right.
That's done.
And I guess the part that I disagree with was the procedure, but that's all water under the bridge now, and we'll deal with what we have now. If the money is still available for us to use, if we would go forward with a building or something like that.
Yes.
Then I have no issue with it, really. It would be nice to have it transferred back, but, if the commissioners don't feel that's feasible or appropriate, that's up to you guys.
I guess make a couple calls. How do I justify to the other taxpayers a $250,000 building?
Oh, who said a $250,000 building?
Well, I think the number that was said to me was a 30 by 40 building, heated, with an office, bathroom.
I mean,
and that's their office right away.
We are also looking at doing something with the Soil Conservation Service. And the other thing we're looking forward to, if and when Rick retires, we're going to have to find somebody to fill this position. And the last meeting I was here, I asked if there would be an office space in the courthouse for somebody. And they're going, we don't know.
No.
We're using Rick's office and Rick's secretary.
We can find office space in the building.
We said there is a spot available in the courthouse.
Well, the last time I asked, nobody said if there was or not. So, where do you stand on this? Is there going to be a space available? Not necessarily that we're going to do this, but you guys want us to come up with a plan. We have to have some idea what the plan needs to be or what we have to work with as far as, if we have to provide office space, if we don't, if we hire a weed control officer other than Rick, that to justify his wages, we have to give him more responsibility as far as spraying, we have to purchase equipment. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but we have to look at that.
And we have to come up with some kind of containment when we can't use that 4-H building anymore.
And that's the sticker right now, is the containment thing and our storage. And I guess from my part, I would like to see us move forward and do something that would be probably permanent and adequate instead of doing stopgap measures all the time where oh, this isn't right or that isn't right. We need to have something concrete that we need to work with.
Well, right now, you guys have how much available? Without what got transferred?
Jaden would probably.
I need to pull up get the balance sheet from down in the office, but it's like 111,000 available, I believe.
And then 90-some thousand got transferred.
Yes.
So you have over 200,000 right now.
Right. And,
But there is no plan for any building yet.
no, there's not. I
We gotta
mean,
find a place to
we have
put
to
it.
find a place and
And you guys have to say we can do it.
and the plan has to be approved by you. So I mean, that's where we stand. You know, we're kind of in the preliminary, but would kind of like to know where we stand in this deal.
It's
If
hard.
you come forward with a proposal, what, you know,
It's very hard to plan anything when we can't.
so if the money is available, I'd love to see it transferred back, but if that's up to the county commission what they want to do, I mean, my biggest stickler is this these taxes were levied for weed board use. So they should be in the weed board account as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I guess what we've told you is that the money's there.
Okay.
We just need to see the plan, and chances are very good. I would certain you give us a plan,
Okay,
we'll approve it.
you know, and
Yeah.
I don't think anybody here can say when we're gonna, you know, when this plan is.
Is there a
all gonna come
deadline on
together.
that? On the transfer of the money? Okay, so whenever you present the plan to us.
Okay,
All right.
okay,
I just have my requirements at the end of the year, you know, like with the
Yeah.
75% carry.
you know, and as far as your requirements, Jaden, I mean, if we do carry over the 75%, we're allowed to bring that back into line over a number of years, are we not?
Yeah. As
If
long
we
as
have a
there's
plan.
allocated purposes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
because the county's assessed no penalty or no,
Well, we
say it,
haven't
no
been.
fine or a penalty or anything.
We haven't been. I mean, if the state becomes involved, then that's a whole other story, I guess. But
Well, what-
you know, like if the state would come in and audit the entire county,
Right,
you know, we'd have to obviously pay for the entire audit and if they find something wrong, we'd probably have some type of fine. But
okay.
we haven't even gotten into that situation. So I'm not,
Okay,
like,
I guess what do you define as wrong? I mean, if we have a plan in place where we're not levying any mills, that would be considered a plan.
right. Yeah. It's like,
Okay.
it's that, and like you said, this is all water and the bridge. I
Okay.
don't want to, I don't want to rehash this over and over and over and over again. So.
I guess as long as we're talking about the weed board, I'd like to bring something up. I don't know if this is correct or not, but I know there's been, Rick Schmidt is county weed officer. He's employed by the weed board. He is our responsibility. He is our employee. As far as I'm concerned, any complaints that come to the commission about him, I know have happened here lately, that they be referred to us as the weed board, because he is our employee. He is not an employee of the county commission or Oliver County. He is an employee of Oliver County Weed Board. And as far as the thing that gripes me, he has, with his position with us as Oliver County Weed Officer, it has no effect or anything with his job and extension service. I guess my biggest gripe is people going to his extension boss with weed problems. If they have any issue with him on the weed board, it comes to us, not to you or to his extension boss. Because he is our employee, not the county commissions or Oliver counties. And in the weed officer aspect, he is not employed by the NESU Extension Service in that capacity. I'd just like to bring that forward.
So you're saying when Rick retires, if you have to hire a different one, you guys hire, the commissioners don't have no say?
What's that?
No.
We appoint the weed officer.
We appoint the weed officer. The only
So you
control-
guys do, not the
Yeah.
commission has anything to do with it. Okay.
You have the final approval of our budget, you know, and I guess that it would be a way for the county commission to control us or whatever. But I mean, if the county commission wants to control the weed board or figures we aren't doing our job or whatever, they have the right to replace us. Or it's been threatened before a number of years ago with different commissioners that they overruled a fine that we had levied and forgave it. And we en masse said, if you want to do the weed board's job, you can have it. We will retire or we will quit. And then the weed board will become the county commission's job. And I'm sure you guys don't want another job. I'm done.
Okay, anything else?
Oh, yeah,
Donna, you got
we've got some other, just out of your minutes from the last. The weed board is also requesting to amend their budget for $3,500 to $7,000 for Rick's pay as weed control officer. I think you tabled that until this meeting.
I had to get the paperwork ready for that in
It's
order for
ready
it
to
to be
go?
done. Yeah, the paperwork is ready to go. It just
Okay.
had to be done the right way.
How about the request for board pay?
They were looking into that. They
Okay.
wanted more information, so that decision was not made at the last meeting. It is on. I don't know if we're going to talk about. I mean, we might as well talk about it.
So I guess the way I looked at it was, why would we amend the budget for that when, you know, you could have had that in back in September already? Can't we wait and address it next September, August, for the next budget? Just a question.
We'd like to see him get it this year. Everybody else, the other county employees got their raises and stuff. And he's not a county employee, I know. But he does work for the county board.
Okay, and like I told you at the weed board meeting, then we have to give planning and zoning, all the boards will have to get the same raise.
Yeah?
And then when she did her estimate or check it around,
Well, she said, what did you have to say?
majority are 45 and then
Yeah.
some are 50. I think we all got an email on that.
Yeah, I sent you all an email on that. Some counties don't do the same amount of pay for the different boards, but I mean, that's just the precedent we've always set where both boards get the same amount. I would say the average is about 45 to 50. Maybe a little bit higher than that, but I did send that all to you to look at.
We haven't gotten that yet, have we? You said-
Yeah, I sent that to
Did
you
It was an email.
Probably a couple 4 weeks ago.
right after, probably 2 days after the last meeting.
Okay.
Do you want my copies?
So the paperwork is in the works for Rick to get a raise this
It's on the
year.
agenda for today's meeting.
Alright. Anything else?
There we go.
Because I sent the county equipment list, I sent that, and then there was something else that you,
Details.
on the decal logo options too.
I think on this, we're gonna have to table it again, because we need to go through this, because we haven't really discussed it at all, and we'll need to table that pay increase, I think, until we get a chance to sit down and look at it, because it varies so much here.
Yeah, did you have it on this? I'm guessing one thing we could, instead of 45, we could bump it to 50 for now. I don't know if that's gonna help you. I know, Brian, your estimate you threw out was,
63.
you know, out there, but is $5 difference gonna make $5 extra gonna make a difference?
Now, ask Jaden, it's been a headache.
Well, I know what it's like. I think we all do. We've been to a lot of meetings,
Yes.
all of us. And some we get paid, some we don't.
And I don't know, maybe you'd have more people interested if it was a little better.
I guess we could look at bumping it to 50 for now. We can always wait and they can budget for more, or ask for more next budget too. Instead of, well, if we do it, we gotta amend the budget and today.
Yeah, well, not today. You can amend the budget at any time. It's just that if you do it before the end of the year, it's easier on our end of things, but it's not that big of a deal to switch it. It's fine. If we wait another month or if you decide today, it makes no difference.
No,
to
if
me.
you need more time to talk about it, that's fine too.
I feel we do. We need some more time because I hadn't seen these figures down just right now, and then they're just very big time. So you have to bear with us.
Okay.
Anything else?
I don't think so.
Okay, budget amendment.
I think I gave you all a copy. It's the weed control, just budgeting that amount to allow for the increase from 3,500 to 7,000 for Rick's salary. That's the only thing for changes for amending the 2025 budget. That's the paperwork that I gave you. Yep. And like I said, this is basically what you get. So if we need to amend it again in January or February, it'll look exactly like this, just with different funds.
Okay. You guys have any questions on this?
Yep, I'm good with it.
Okay, could I hear a motion for the budget amendment for the fund number 2970?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Approved. Twenty 24-1 transfer.
You should also have gotten a copy of that.
I would have one other question. I mean, like say we do a piece of property or something would come up. You know, like we need to put a bid on it if we wanted to sell an industrial park anywhere. And we wanted to, this would be a good place to put a building. So then like, we come and ask you.
I need Patrick to kind of explain on the property purchase.
Yeah, the county commissioners are the only ones that have any authority to commit the county to do anything that would include making offers on land or buildings.
So yeah, if you find a property, you bring it to the commissioners, and then we have to act on it.
I'm sure we could call a special meting. Like if
Right,
it's
anytime,
a specific time limit or whatever, you call, we get a meeting called together and then go from there. We've called special meetings for a lot less than something like that too. So
apparently you can't legally purchase it.
Well, no, I realize. I want to know, like, say I don't.
So it can be done, but it has to be through our approval.
Okay.
Make it official, make it legal. Okay. Transfer. It's gone from, what are we doing here?
so the special roads account or the fund, we don't levy for that anymore. That expired like 2 years ago. So we don't levy for it for 2 years now. There's a negative balance in it because we had an abatement, and that abatement had to apply to all the levies that we had in that year. We just need to pull it out of the hole. So we're just taking that much from unorganized and putting it to special roads to give that account a zero balance. So then we don't have to look at it anymore. And then the other one is general to E911. which is also, every year it's always in a negative balance. But that is like, we pay NDACO. They switched how we do that now. So like NDACO gets all the 911 bills, and then we get a cut and they take a cut. But this is just kind of we're always in the hole with the 911 every year. So this is just pulling it and making it at a zero balance to start the year out. And these ones are always, well, E911 especially is always on this list every year. But everything else, based on the 75% carryover rule and allocated dollars, is not being touched this year.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Second.
Yeah, motion and a second. Any further discussion on this? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
Cool.
Oh, we got a few minutes here before getting into the okay.
Michael? Patty has egg rates. We could move her from 2:30 to now. It'll take.
I'm
like
just
2
on
minutes.
call and nobody's called and it'll take like 2 minutes.
Patty's will take 2 minutes.
You're okay with that?
Sure.
The longest it's gonna take is just explaining the process to you guys. So, with ag and residential rates, we have to stay within 90 to 100% of the state rate. And so with ag rates, the state gives me a rate that I have to be within, that 90 to 100%. Last year, I put us at 96% with 389.03. This year, I will be, if I keep that rate of 389.03, and that's just an average for all, and I can give these to you guys if you want to look at it more. I will still be within compliance of 94.6. So I'm requesting that I do not do any increase, no change to the egg. That's
And that won't affect the budget at all.
No. See, they give me an amount, like an average of all of it, and then I just have to stay within
Well, in between the two.
in between it. So this was last year. I actually decreased egg last year, but I just have to stay within it. So I am still within that percentage. So I don't have to do an increase. I don't have to do a decrease. It's up to you guys. I would recommend leaving it just because we're in compliance with it.
I would agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like to go too low because then,
You gotta catch up.
yeah. So I'm still within 94.6% of it, staying. So I just need a motion to approve that there will be no change with egg values.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion on this? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Approved.
thank you. See, go. Easy peasy.
June commission date change.
Oh yeah, we have to change that for Patty. The stated requirement is the 10th of June for equalization. So we have to have our equalization meeting during our commission meeting on the 10th or before of June. So moving it from the 12th to the 10th would put it on a Tuesday unless we need to shift it to a different day.
Works for me.
No problem for me.
Flexible.
10th? Okay.
Okay, change it.
Okay. Okay.
We don't need a motion on that. Weed control for large scale projects. Do we have any problems?
Well, this was kind of Dave's thing. That's you.
Okay,
Apparently somebody brought this up.
Yes,
Yeah.
Dave asked me to put it on there, so.
the group out with the wind farm, you know, their concern is gonna be the weeds coming up. And how are we gonna address it? Is Blattner gonna be around to take care of it? And I guess, roads will follow right in on the same deal, that's why Cody and Delbert are here. Any future projects, I think we need to have that definitely in writing, that the weed control gets handled before it gets out of hand.
I have been told that by the PSC that the county needs to have something in writing for them to enforce more forcefully, I guess. Because if the county doesn't have something in place, the PSC really doesn't have much to go on as far as weed control goes. Problem being weed control on like landowners' property. If it's along county roads, we have more of a say, but once you get into somebody's property, I don't know, legally Patrick would have a better answer for us, I think, but.
Are you asking specifically whether, whether weed control can go on someone's private property without a warrant or a court order? Is that what's being asked?
No, we're talking about so NextEra has disturbed a lot of land, so there's concerns about noxious weeds on the land. What role can the county play as far as requiring NextEra or any other large company to come in, making them take care of the weeds versus the landowner taking care of the weeds? Because the landowner isn't the one that made the weed problem to begin with.
The landowner shouldn't be responsible.
Sure, I don't disagree with that. If we don't already have, now, did they do this as part of the road use, their use of the roads? Is that where they've done it, or where have they created the issues with?
We don't have anything in writing right now, but for future projects, like with NextEra, we did not have anything in writing for weed control, especially along our roadways, which, I mean, I don't know that there's ever been anything in writing because we just figured they would work with us, but now we're running into some issues where they may not come in and fix the mess.
Has NextEra, has it been addressed with them by anyone?
They've been talked to.
Well, I mean, they could take the position that if it wasn't part of the road use agreement, then they're not responsible for it, and that's probably something they could rely on.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be curious to know if they would take that position if a letter were sent to them requesting that they fix what occurred. But I think the problem we might run into is, how do you say that just because what NextEra did, that resulted in there being a weed issue?
Well, if you look back at Southwest Water when they came in, I've had to call them every year just about, and not just on my land, the neighbors, but they've addressed it instantly. They've come out and took care of the weeds and filled the holes where it settled. And I guess that's where we're looking with this deal, with any future projects coming. 2 more potential wind farms, solar farm. I think we need to have something that says they will be responsible, and not for 1 year, for possibly up to 5 years, or life of the project.
Sure, and I think that's not unreasonable. When I look at how we enforce certain things, or when we're putting something into a contract, the first thing that I need to be able to do is show that that there's something that the entity did that caused damage or may cause damage. And so, what I think of at this moment is, would they be able to come back and say, well, we didn't cause the weed problem? But we can certainly put that into any future agreements, and if they don't want to agree to it, then you can certainly say, well, we don't have an agreement.
Can that be something that's added as a condition to the conditional use permit as well?
Yes.
Okay.
I think we do have some requirements for when transmission lines are put in for weed control? I think we have something in writing on that.
I'd have to look, like, the only other thought that I had when this was kind of brought up was, is there a way we can put this in, like, our ordinance? But I don't, that's obviously
Rick
starts
would
in
be the
planning and
one you
zoning.
should be talking with. What was it about the gravel pits? They're having such a hard time with in Martin County.
I can't really remember, but I mean, as far as weed board, from what I understand, we have no jurisdiction over Blatten or anybody like that because they are not a landowner. I mean, they may be leasing this land,
Right.
and we don't have anything a leg to stand on as far as assessing them any kind of a fine for their noxious weed. That would have to come out of the county commission or something.
Well, and that's the whole idea behind this, is so the landowner isn't responsible.
Right, and
Not the weed board or the landowner, the company who comes in should
Right,
be
and
responsible.
I
And like
agree.
Carly has shook her head.
I agree
They've been covering
that
all
should be
this.
the companies because we have no jurisdiction over that.
And that's what this whole thing is about. Is to
I
make,
mean, I know that's a big concern that continues to get raised with any of these projects coming in, is how they come in, they rip up the land, and then they leave weeds behind for the landowner to deal with because they are told, well, we don't have to deal with it. We're gone now. So
But you're worried about them like hauling the dirt from the approaches and things to other places, right?
Even around wind towers, they have to reseed that. Nothing's been reseeded out there yet. You don't see grass in there, the weeds are gonna grow.
Well, the road ditches too, they got cat tracks and all the road ditches, there are gonna be weeds there too.
And where they put these underground mines that they dug in, there's huge, Cody's there, areas that there's no grass and it's not been seeded yet now, so we can't get it all seeded in the spring, so the weeds are gonna grow.
I guess I don't have any windmills on my land, but I've been around. I've got windmills at border mine, and I'm not giving the company an excuse, but they do come in and seed, and from what I've seen, and this is with Minnesota Power, they have taken care of it. It's not something that's going to be done immediately. You know, not defending them, but it's pretty dry this year to get grass started. So
that's the idea. So all companies are just like that. Just like I said, Southwest Water, Minnesota Power, everybody should abide by the same rules.
something we can continue to think about.
Start writing something up.
Yeah. Yep.
And I can meet with Rick on that too.
He'd be the one you should talk with.
Well, they have a lot to complete out there that they'll have to do in the spring. So I don't think they'll get any more done this fall or this winter. Okay. Kyle.
Yep.
What do you have?
Just bringing up them vehicles to make sure that's what we want to do with them. She's got a list of them there. I mean, we want to put it on there. I mean, we can't just, a couple of them we don't want to let go just dirt cheap or nothing, where we can just accept or reject any of the bids.
So I got a question. That fifth wheel trailer, you're pulling that with that 3/4 ton pickup now, or is that enough pickup for that when you've got the skid steer on there? The skid steer weighs what, 9,000 plus?
I don't know what that one weighs for sure. It's on that.
The one with tracks.
Yeah.
You can pull that with a pickup.
Yeah,
I pull a 15,000 pound tractor with a pickup.
Okay.
Yeah, it'd be nice sometimes to have a little heavier, but most of the time we don't pull it all over. I mean, most of the time it's a few places here and there. It's not a constant deal. So. But
do we have to set like a minimum, or do we just advertise that these are items up for bid?
Yeah,
send in your bid to
you can accept or reject
my
them.
office, I guess.
Yeah,
Does that
put
work?
them here, yep.
Okay.
When would you do that?
Put them out right away. Yeah.
And if I get it in the paper and whatever.
I think it's got to be in there for 2 weeks. I think.
Yeah, 2 weeks. But if I get it in there, it won't be
Yeah,
today.
that'll be 3 weeks.
It's too late today, so next week and the week after. So
Yeah,
we could look at bids in the February meeting.
that can work. Yep.
Are you okay with that, Kyle?
But we're see what we can get out of them. And there's a couple in there that ain't whatever we can get out of them.
We're not setting a.
No, not a limit. Like you
We're
said,
not
there's
gonna
a
sell
couple.
unless
Well, yeah, there's a couple of them we're not just gonna.
you're just gonna sell to the high bid.
Right.
And I suppose you could reject if there's no
Right, you
decent bids. You can just reject
Right.
and try again, or whatever, however you want to do that.
So here are just some things I've been getting around, down in the shop that I think we need to address. You know, like the one window on the south wall got a big crack in it. In fact, the outer pane is the only one holding any heat in. I saw the roof, the holes, 5 holes in the north wall up on the roof. And that was re-roofed, I don't know.
Probably. It was right before I started as auditor, so probably 3
Yeah, 3 maybe.
or 2.5, something like
Something
that.
like that. Yep.
So can the contractor be contacted?
Yeah. Yep. He was supposed to be coming to look at them again here, but he left the country for a while here. I don't know where he's gone.
Okay, and then going down the line and the power for the out by the fuel tanks. I know you said you contacted Ryan, but if he doesn't have time, do we have to go outside? To have somebody get that fixed, say next spring. It's too cold now.
Yeah.
But that's something probably should have done this fall or this summer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then the south shop, the power panel there has the cover sitting on the ground. We should probably get that on there. And then I noticed the whole breaker box, there is no main breaker. It's just wired in the way it looked.
Well, that was one of the guys who did. I guess I never paid no attention to that.
Yeah.
You just wired it in there.
Yeah, and so I just noticed it, and I guess what made me notice it was the cover sitting on the ground. We should probably get that covered so nobody walks in there, and because I don't think that building's locked, right?
No. Nope.
Yeah, and then the skid steer, I looked at the auger. It looks like somebody's been trying to crush rock or cement with it. It's chewed up pretty good for.
I think they got it against the curb with. You know.
That's a new auger, or a new skid snow blower, right?
Yeah, it's used. Yeah, it's looks like they must have got it against the south side of the courthouse down here. If you don't leave the snow built up against the curb a little bit, it's too wide, and you set like this. And I'm pretty sure that's what.
Okay, and then as far as the cost of the big shop, I guess I'm just curious if you want to look at eventually fixing up the south shop instead of heating a gigantic, 2 shops right now. I don't know if we could justify it, but.
But you mean heating 2 shops? Both of the.
Well, you're heating the 2 big ones right now. Instead, going to the south one and make that the main shop and run the heat the other one at 50. Just something to throw out.
And it really ain't set up to do much in there. For doors, you only got the 2 on the end. You wouldn't be able to move equipment back and forth. Unless if you pulled one in and pulled one out, and then you have, with the other ones, you got the doors. You can come in, you can bring 4 or 5 pieces of equipment in there and work on it. And the other, you're not wide enough for it.
Yeah, it was just an idea. And then I noticed, Dave, is that the sheriff's office has the boat in there?
Yeah. Well, it's kind of the sheriff's departments and the fire departments, so.
Does it ever get ran or?
Oh, yeah. We
Okay.
take it out a couple of times every summer and make sure that it works right and everything. We've actually had to use it on the river and out at Nelson before, so.
Not for fishing or nothing, no.
No.
Just to make sure. Okay. Then the fences. I think they're looking pretty tough around the whole grounds. On the west side especially, and then the south side, the cedars leaning pretty good too. Maybe next spring or something, we can look at getting them fixed up. And then, in the west shop, there's a rubber mat over that pit. And so I was talking to Daryl about it. The pit, to my understanding, was there for when guys had to work underneath the vehicle. Yeah, we don't use it anymore, right? Is that something we should fill in with gravel and cement?
It should be covered up, cemented shut or something, because then you're gonna have to redo the floor too, probably. With all the water, everything's running too.
Oh, to that pit?
You have to put a drain in there and then cement the balance.
Yeah, I don't know where you drain it to. You'd have to go out in the parking lot, I suppose, just like a drain field.
What does that fill with water down?
Oh, yeah.
In the winter, especially?
Especially in the winter time. You bring trucks in and
dripping
off. Yeah, you end up pumping it once or twice during the winter time.
Okay. And then this little shed over here, it's got a heater running in it. Is there anybody that knows why?
It's supposed to run a garden tractor so you can get it started. But there's no, they get the wiring done for that either. So, yeah, I don't know if it's still running in there or if it's on.
Well, I was told there was a cord, but I looked today and there is no cord running to it. So apparently the heater's not running.
Yeah, I don't think
so then no big deal till it gets rewired.
We haven't been using it. So,
okay.
Like I said, it was supposed to be rewired so everything was in the inside. And so it had a little heat, to keep so things would start.
Well, then Thursday when I came in, I stopped down at the shop. One of the employees was sitting there waiting for his meeting with Alice. He sat there for a couple hours and could have been sweeping or cleaning up the shop.
I wasn't around.
Yeah. That's the thing. I guess something like that, when I stopped, I think I kind of surprised him, but I guess like in any job, we just, do like Lane. If you're bored out at work, you go out and shoot coyotes on the side. But yeah, the shop's pretty dirty. We should probably be having that swept once a week. And then that gravel trailer, I'm sure you guys are aware of that, the damage that was done to it. Was that last spring? The new gravel trailer when it got hit from behind?
Summer, whatever. Middle summer, whenever it was.
Now it got taken down to get fixed today. Is there a solution on who's going to pay for it?
It's supposed to go to his insurance because that's where he got filed or charged for or whatever. So yeah.
Okay. And then Austin's still using the county equipment, and then has access to the keys. Beasley's just a temporary employee. Should he be doing that? I guess that's.
To come up here and do courthouse is what he's doing with it.
Okay. Well, that brings up the part I'm wondering if, what do you guys think if we should hire Keith Vitek? He does the yard work now. He does the outside windows. He bought a tractor and a snowblower to blow the snow, but he can't do the big parking lot. But he'd do all the front, we do the sidewalks in the back and the sidewalk to the post office. Is that something we want? Hire him. I believe he's getting, and we don't have a contract. I talked to Alice about that. She would work on that. Well, we probably should have something just for liability wise and some kind of a contract. I believe he's charging $18.54 or something I saw an hour. And if he supplies his own equipment, we can pay extra, but I don't know. What do you guys think? Instead of the county employees doing it, if we need them out to move snow on the roads, we'd sooner have them doing that than wasting a half hour, 45 minutes running up here.
I like the idea of Keith. You talked to him already that he's willing to do it?
Yeah, his only thing was the big parking lot in the back. And that's where the shop would come up with the big loader or the skid steer. Well, the skid steer would take quite a while, but they could clean it up pretty fast.
Dave, can I make a suggestion? If you would put him like as an employee, non-benefited employee, he would then be covered by workforce safety, as well as our insurance, the county insurance. So my suggestion would be actually putting him on the payroll to better protect himself and the county.
Okay. So is this something we should have him at the next meeting and talk to him about a wage, or what do you think?
I don't know what kind of negotiations you've done with him so far, but.
I just asked if he was interested. There was nothing talked about money. I did say, well, what do you think you'd want? He said, well, whatever I'm charging now for mowing the grass.
Austin's a temp for summer help.
And then for mowing, does he have his own mower, or is this
He
county
brings
one?
his own mower.
Yep.
And then the little trailer to put all the clippings and stuff in. He parks it back by the dumpster, and then he mows, and then he empties, and he mows some more, and then he empties, and then, yeah.
We just put, we'd have, to be employed, we'd have to put him on a certain number of hours, or.
Anything less than 20, because then he would be considered an employee, but not he wouldn't be eligible for benefits.
Okay.
Yeah.
Patrick's got something.
Could you be contracted out, and that way you wouldn't be responsible for liability issues? He'd be responsible for providing his own liability insurance. Is that a possibility?
Absolutely.
Sorry, what was that?
Yes,
Yes.
you can, Patrick.
And I think because when we bring him on as an employee, well, I don't want to step on Alice's toes because she knows a lot more about it than I do, but I would think making him a contractual employee would be the cleanest way to do it.
Would he be required to have a contractor's license then?
What specific tasks is he going to be doing?
Just blowing snow, mowing the grass, windows, watering. I know the sprinklers, he takes care of that.
He'd be like the outdoor janitor, basically.
Yeah, outdoor janitor or outdoor maintenance person.
Let me do a little quick research here. Hold on.
I'm guessing one thing, say like that building to get it wired, then put him in charge of contacting the electrician to get it done, because it's locked, so he'd have to let him in anyway. And then you must have a key at the shop for that too?
I have a key too. Anyway, salt.
No, I don't believe he'd need
We
a
do.
contractor
It's
license.
almost gone.
Oh, over there, yeah.
In here.
Okay, that's
I thought you meant for us down there.
Next time.
We need some here.
I'll just have a key for the next meeting.
Yeah, I'll bring it up here in a minute.
Okay, then, a couple other things, Kyle, when I was out driving around the other day, who's got the 25 and 35 mile an hour speed signs out by the wind farm? Is that,
Us.
you guys put them up?
Well, the 35 we do, the 25 is black.
Okay. Is that something we need to take down, or no big deal? Does that bother you guys, or?
Well, we kind of wanted them there before the
Right.
hours even came.
Right, they were there before.
Yeah.
But do you want them, it doesn't bother leaving there for now, or?
No, because the kids were playing down by their own, everybody was flying by, so that's why we kind of requested them 35 mile an hour signs.
And you had when the construction on everybody, you'd have them driving 25 or 35, everybody else is going 50. Well, that's why they were put on.
Okay. And then how about trucks entering and,
That's there.
okay. We need them up? I see they're still up.
They're still up?
North of Hanover, yeah.
No, they shouldn't be up because they're not doing nothing right now anyway. They're gone.
Yeah, this was last Thursday, I believe, right, Delbert, when I was out there?
They're still up by hand, there are several other places.
So,
I think they have 3D Specialty that does that. is for them guys.
Do we contact them or how do we do that?
Probably have to contact them guys.
Blattner.
and get a hold of them.
Tell them to clean it up.
Okay. And then,
Those guys.
I guess my last thing is, Mark and the Bartmans are all, last Sunday when we got that rain, they said the road was pretty slippery again. I'm curious of who approved, putting that, not really road grade gravel on it, you know, from out in your area. Right now, you could fly 75 miles an hour, it's just like a freeway. And you aren't gonna get a rock chip because there's no rocks on it.
Oh yeah, they water and they pack the, out of it.
But I don't think that's what they're here. Go ahead and if you want to share your thoughts about it. I know Delbert said to me that when it got wet, they blade everything to the side, and then when it dry, they blade it back in and pack it again.
They're still in road contract. It's still theirs until fall or spring when they figure out if it's going to turn out.
So in other words,
they went through and had samples taken, and it's supposed to be a class 5 gravel. So and the same thing that we use. But like I said,
The requirement is they put it back as good or better than before they came in.
I know for winter now, I almost slid off the road with a payloader the other day.
Yeah, well, it's packed hard. There's nothing to loose stuff on it.
It's like asphalt though.
Yep.
But that will, next spring, you're gonna put ruts in there more over that Jensen place.
Oh yeah, it's
When it gets enough moisture on there, you can just keep driving down. We need gravel. They're not gonna get away with what they got on there. We need gravel.
so I've got a good sample. Who would I take it to get it tested to see if it is road grade? You can get that to me later.
Yeah.
Because I guess I have a bucket full out in my vehicle, so. And I think BNI was hit with the same thing a couple of years ago. They tried the sandstone, it didn't work out, they had to re-gravel. And I think it's only fair we make everybody.
Well, yeah, if it don't turn out, they got to put it back the way better than it was. So.
Yeah. So in other words, these guys got to live with it all winter and spring probably till Blattner comes back in and finds gravel.
You can do nothing with this winter.
Great.
Yeah.
Anything else you guys want to
Well, I
say?
know they put that outer concrete underneath and then they put that road on there, so I don't know, is that gonna affect the road for life then?
Shouldn't, I was going to say hard, it should stay hard for life.
Is it gonna hold gravel like it should or not? Or?
When they talked to us on that, they said
said
that
it will,
it'll make a better road forever.
So,
Yes. Well, if they get some gravel on it, it probably would be okay.
Yeah. No, I'm just telling you what they told us.
So they're gonna come and fix that, put some gravel on, or else we'll be back in here wanting you guys to put gravel
Oh,
on.
they have to come back. Yeah.
they're not released or anything.
So if they don't, yeah, they could come back. Yeah. But they will, they're required to redo the road.
I guess what's bad is when they're calling that they've got to deal with it now, especially every time it gets wet and they're worried about sliding off the road. And Delbert and Mark have both told me they've had to lock it in 4-wheel drive to get to the highway when it's wet and slimy.
Yeah, it turns a pure muck when it's wet.
Okay, Dave, you got anything else?
Not on that.
Over there? Kyle, do you have anything else?
Kind of related to a little bit what we're talking about cleaning up the sidewalks and stuff. We are in need of ice melt. The courthouse is. We've got like 4 bags. Mickey looked into it, and there's some. It's called snow melt, and it's supposed to be less harsh on the concrete than what we currently have outside. It's 42 pails per pallet at $32.49 per pail. Do we want to order a full pallet right away? Are we going to go through that much, or do we do like a? Because it's 50-gallon buckets of it is what it would be. So,
It keeps.
Well, yeah, that's what
or
I'm saying.
50-gallon, 50-pound, sorry.
It keeps it sealed in a pail.
Yeah, it's in a
not
pail.
You could store it in that building.
Well, right now it's in the boiler room
Boiler room over there. is where
because
that's-
it's, I mean, temperature-wise, it's probably okay in there. But I'm just asking how much we should order.
It's probably better off in the boiler room for moisture and stuff. Because if you get moisture, well, in the pails it shouldn't bother.
Right.
I know like the bags that we do it in.
It's hard to.
Yep. It's hard like
Okay.
concrete.
In like maybe half a pallet.
Is there a volume discount or how?
I don't know. She just looked into it. She said the 42 pails per pallet. So I mean, I guess there probably is somewhat of a volume
Sure.
discount. It's through Dakota Paper Company. Is who
I think that's what they got.
would get it. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know if we have room for 42 pails of snow melt in the boiler room, but
You know, check with maybe Jim at Mercer County and see if you guys could split it.
yeah, we could do that.
Just a
Call them and
suggestion.
ask. Yeah, see if they want some. I mean, I'm sure we'll end up using it. It's just how
Oh, at
long?
one time, yeah.
How long will it take us to use it?
Lila couldn't.
Yeah,
depends
yeah,
on
yeah. The way it's been so icy this year, I mean,
What do we want to do?
I think let her check into it, but yeah,
if there's a
If it's-
volume discount, go with the full pallet and see if Mercer County wants to split it. Okay, I can do that. I'll talk with Mickey because she was kind of looking into that for me. So
Okay. Well, good afternoon. I am here because as I'm working as HR over here, I've been here every week since in December. One thing I've noticed is you don't hold portfolios. Okay. Where to me, I think it would be just a better benefit to the employees and to you and to the community members as well. That way there's specialized focused areas that you guys can be involved with. It's not gonna be a free-for-all. It's gonna be more efficient for you. You can prioritize your portfolio responsibilities. And then there's more accountability and transparency with the department heads, the employees, and where they go to if there should be an issue that arises. Instead of having them go to, well, I went to Rob and I didn't get his answer, so then I'm gonna go to Dave, well, I didn't get the answer I wanted, but maybe Lee will give me my answer. I just think having a portfolio holder, one portfolio holder per department would be a good suggestion for this county. It also helps with long-term planning because you get to work with those departments more closely. You can say, oh, the auditor's office is going to need this in 10 years, so we need to start planning for this. Or maybe the highway department's going to need new equipment. Then you can start planning for that because you're solely working with that person one-on-one. Or the sheriff's department's going to need new equipment. I mean, it's just a better practice, I feel. And it also helps with monitoring and evaluation. Issues are coming up with one department, you have one portfolio holder, they know what's going on. It's just not a mismatch. Oh, I heard this or I heard that, so. And then it also encourages teamwork amongst all the commissioners because then you'll have portfolio reports at every meeting. You will update everybody of what's going on in each department. So that is just my suggestion. These are the portfolios that I have identified for all of the county. Patrick, I can email it to you.
That sounds good, thanks.
Okay, so we have like the auditor, clerk of court recorder, the county roads, Dakota Central Social Services. Do you guys have somebody on their board as a rep?
Yeah.
Emergency services, that would be myself. And hopefully you could put HR and emergency services together so I don't have two separate ones. The extension agent, planning and zoning, risk manager, sheriff's department, state's attorney, superintendent of schools, tax equalization, treasurer's office, and I know Laura is also the superintendent of schools.
Yes.
So you could put those two together. And then the veteran services office. And then any other boards you guys might be involved with.
I would say Patty also does planning and zoning.
Okay.
So equalization and planning and zoning, but then I also do planning and zoning. So, and Linda does risk manager, so she'd probably have to be tied in with somebody that
With
does
the auditor. Okay.
Yeah.
And I think it just helps with the county residents, they'll know who to go to if they have a concern. All three of you are not gonna get phone calls, and you're gonna say, oh, he is a portfolio holder of HR and she just made me upset, so I'm gonna call Dave or whatever. Because nobody gets mad at HR, you know.
Okay.
So the first thing we'd have to do is figure out how to break these down. How many of these would be under the same individual?
Probably.
We got 3 people.
Yep.
Other places they have 5.
Right.
All this stuff.
Yeah.
So that'd be the first thing we work on, I guess, if we're going to do that, go that route.
And this doesn't have to be enacted upon today, it's something that you guys can think about. And then we can discuss it at upcoming meetings as well. But I highly encourage you to look at this and give some more consistency in the county with the employees and everything, so they know who to go to. Then alleviate some of the burden that you guys might get if you know the phone calls. And then just an EM update, I did get notice that Oliver County did receive a grant, or will be receiving a grant to do the mitigation plan for next year. So I'll get more information for that at the next meeting.
For what's that now?
The mitigation plan,
Oh,
hazard mitigation, that we have to do, that costs lots of money at the end of the year, so. Other than that, do you guys have any questions for me?
You're here Friday, right?
Right, I'm here
Okay.
Friday because I was gonna be here on Thursday, but then Mercer County is doing their commission meeting on Thursday. So I changed my date to Friday. But I'm gonna try to be here once a week for a while. Okay, good.
any questions for Alice? Thanks, Alice. Found out anything about decals for the county vehicles?
I don't have any
Email
pricing,
you did get.
but they were in the email that I
Got
sent
it.
you.
Okay.
These are the 4 that I kind of came up with. And if you want to look at them first or whatever, I know you guys saw them a little bit, but this is just me being slightly mediocre at graphic design, but you know, I tried.
So you drew these up?
Yeah.
Did?
I did.
I kind of like either of these two because it shows the county outline.
So that's second.
Oh, this, oh.
I mean, that one's okay too.
Just okay. It's just okay.
But I don't know, they're all good, right? You guys.
They are.
I mean,
You're good.
Top one for sure.
yeah, and here's Kyle, want to see him?
I seen that one, but I didn't get to see that one.
Don't inflate my ego or anything.
That's good.
They are. I like the one with the outlines county. And them two really short, good.
Which
Yeah,
one?
good.
These two.
Okay. I mean, the simpler one is doable. If you don't like the font, we can always change the font too. I mean, that Oliver County on that one there, we can make the fonts the same. It's up to you guys. It's easily adjustable. Canva is great.
Which one you like? I don't mind the first one.
Okay, I'll go along with that because to me they all look good.
They're all working.
Yeah.
So I'd say the first one.
Okay, that one? Okay, I will, I can look, pricing wise, I don't think it's gonna be that bad.
How many vehicles you got? You're gonna put them on?
Town.
Will we put them on all the graders and loaders and everything then?
You just use a Cricut or you order them somewhere?
No, I'll probably order them. I have a Cricut and that we're not best friends, so I don't wanna mess them up. I'll probably order them from, a sign company of some sort or whatever, and then do we want decals for the graders? Because I know when we train them in, they have to get them taken out. Magnet?
They'll be magnet.
Okay, we can get magnets too. I mean, like if you want to do decal, if you want to do decal on like the pickups, the stuff that we own, we could do decals. But then the stuff that we lease out, just do magnets that can be easily removed.
You're gonna have to fight getting it off.
Right. I don't want Casey to call me and say, "What did you do to our machine?"
That'd be the first thing. It'd come.
Okay.
You have 2 different shades of paint and.
Why don't you get me a number of what you all need so then I can get an idea on pricing and I can bring it to the January 8th meeting if that works. Well, I didn't do too bad then.
No, even the fancier one looks good, but.
Yeah, no, too much is, yeah, that's fine. This works.
Mahoney Law Office discussion. What are we discussing right now?
Patrick had contacted me. I don't know if he contacted you guys?
No.
Okay, Patrick, do you want to share your?
Sure, yeah. The law office isn't really being used all that much. I know John goes there sometimes, but I kind of feel like perhaps the county or another entity might have a better use for that. We service all of our clients from Oliver County out of the Bismarck office. And so, just in speaking with Dave and then kind of considering what to do with that, I pulled some comp values of other buildings that were similarly sized in different communities and came up with an average value of about $29,000 for that building. And so I don't know if they take it. It's not looking to really make much money off of it, but we just need to be able to use that, for something that the county could use if they want it. Otherwise, we'll consider other options for the building.
Did you talk to the Golden Age?
Yep. They didn't know. I think back when they used to do the dinner over here, they got a bit interested, but now they take it to the Civic Center, so there wasn't a lot of. They all heard about it, I guess that's about all. But there might be something with the city too, or another thing, if we get another business to come to town, might want it for an office.
There is uses for it, yes.
And I don't think the county can buy it, correct?
Why not?
I don't know.
It'd be no different than buying land to put a different building on.
Right.
I guess we'll take it into consideration, Patrick.
Sure, no problem.
Okay.
I don't know. I was almost wondering if it would be a good place for storage of the noxious weed program stuff.
It would cost more to retrofit that than to start up that. I've been involved with farm chemicals for over 30 years. That's not a viable option. Structure might be good, but the rebuilding would be more than a ground up.
Okay, we have an idea what it could cost, and we have to come up with
a use for it.
Purpose for it. Thanks, Patrick.
Sure.
Did snow removal? Did we?
Yeah, we did.
We discussed it already.
Mm-hmm.
That was for here. Okay. ARPA funding.
Okay. I just have to look here. There is $212,941.61 in there. We obligated it last year as revenue replacement for the general fund, which basically means we can use it for a lot of things. I know one discussion was there's at least one, maybe two sheriff's vehicles that are going to need to be replaced next year.
Two.
Okay. So those are some options. I did send an email based on the conversation we had at the last meeting to all the county employees saying like if there's something in their department or just the courthouse in general that they could think of that we could use that money for. One thing, I know we did talk about it at the last meeting. We did get a quote and accepted a bid for the concrete work out in front of the building and then the back sidewalks. So that's about $35,000 that we would already have kind of set aside, pulled out of there. I know we talked about the key fob locks, the access. I did get a quote from Electro Watchman. He did come out last week and did a walkthrough of the building to do those. And this would be an allowable expense under that. And then I looked at the map and he just got me an updated quote right as the meeting was starting because he had key fob locks on doors that don't need the locks. Like the kitchen doesn't need a lock necessarily unless we remodel and turn it into a tiny office or something. But so then it's a little bit less than this total amount here. Let me just pull it up so you have the right amount. It would be $61,151.56 rather than the $68.
Yeah, you said something about these doors aren't compatible.
So when he came out and looked at them, he did the walkthrough. These west double doors out here would not work for this. And C&H Glass, who did our windows, actually did give me a quote. But we'd have to get somebody to do the actual. There's some hardware that they don't do. They do the actual door. Then we'd probably have to get like Warren's locks and keys to come out and do some of the hardware. And then Electro Watchman would do the lock portion of it. I'm just gonna hopefully pull this up here. It was a little pricey. So if you know of any other door companies that can do different types of doors.
They're out of where?
C&H Glass is out of Bismarck. They're the ones that did all the windows.
Do we have a time limit on budgeting? Or for
We have to spend the money
Yeah.
by 2026.
we have all of
We have 25 and 26 to spend it. Like the end of 26 is the deadline to spend it. The other one was the generator. The emergency generator is an option to use. I know you said NextEra may be giving money, maybe not.
You never know.
Yeah. Okay, so the door, the quote they gave was $11,998 for the door.
How much?
$11,998. We'd have to provide the 2 keyed cylinder, some of the hardware for it. And then they did give a quote for the interior set of the doors.
Our locks and key fobs on there, I would just as soon leave as they are. I don't have a problem with ours, so I'd like to leave them.
With the key code on the back door and a key on the front door here?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think ours is fine.
Oh, okay.
Because that was replaced a couple years ago.
Probably 3 I think about 3 years ago. I'm not 100% sure on it, but it was right about 3 years ago, I think it was replaced.
Okay. I know it, just kind of talking to some of the other people in the building, front doors especially, we can put them on like a timed lock. And then they open immediately at 8 and lock automatically at 4. We're not having to mess with keys. I personally think it would be nice. And they were talking to me, the key code on the way back doors, those keypads were not made for that type of door. They made it work, but they weren't made specifically for that from what I was told. So having one of those access, I don't know, I think from everybody that I've talked to said it would be nice. I personally would think that'd be a good idea, but the siren radios, I know we talked about using ARPA funds for those, the updated sheriff's radios. That's about $40,000. Patty had asked, because we're getting planning and zoning mapping technology with Sidwell, if we could use some of the money for that. And I believe that would be an allowable expense as well, because that's going to be kind of a hefty project. And then our planning and zoning ordinance and comprehensive plan need updating and reformatting, because especially the ordinance, it kind of was just hodgepodge together a little bit. I do have a quote out with a consulting company, but it could be between $50,000 to $60,000 to have them come in and help us, because the comprehensive plan was last done when Lee was on planning and zoning in 1976. So we might want to.
Everything was set up then just strictly for farm.
Right. But we, one thing that, as I've taken over planning and zoning, that they keep harping on is you need to have a good comprehensive plan to back up your ordinance, and then, kind of they work together. And if you update one without updating the other, it becomes just kind of a useless document. And you really do need to have something in there in order to enforce a lot of that too. So just a couple of ideas that have been thought of and brought up. We tripped a breaker when it was really cold a couple weeks ago, and the boiler was out. So one thing we talked about, I did ask Ryan why it would do that. He said the wiring in the building is outdated to handle more technology and capacity. I don't know how much something like that would cost to rewire the whole building, but it'd be a heck of a lot of money. So yeah. But it's probably not something we should not consider doing at some point, because I don't really want to burn the building down either.
And there's still a chance on the grant money from it.
Yes, there is that chance too.
Yeah.
That's why some of these are kind of just
a lot of this.
Yeah.
Like the wiring.
Yeah, the wiring and like new flooring. I know that has been kind of brought up, because on especially the back doors, the one over on this side. The tile is actually broken up so bad there's like almost a hole right next to the door in the tile. Just different ideas that have come to mind and people have brought up. So if you want to think about it, we have a little bit of time to make decisions. I know like the concrete, the siren radios, those have been kind of, that money's been kind of set aside, and then if possible sheriff's vehicles too, but $200,000 is a little bit to work with. And
Looks like
for me personally,
handle everything but the sheriff's vehicles if we wanted to include all that you just talked about.
well, and we do have the LATCF money, which is $96,250. We have a balance in there. There's no deadline on that, but that money can be used for anything but lobbying. So if there's something on this list that we would want to do, we can also use that.
96,000 what?
250.
And 300,000 to work with.
Yes. Yeah. I personally would like to see the key fob access as an option, especially in the event that we don't have to worry about getting people's keys back if they quit, if they are let go, anything like that. We just shut the access off.
electronically.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, it's something we need to think about.
Yes.
And no big rush, but we could-
Not a huge rush, but probably
Yeah.
some of these projects sooner
Right,
than later
couple
because
months.
prices may go up and we don't
Yeah,
want to have to. But yeah,
That's 60,000 we put down if we don't do the sheriff's doors. Or is that included?
it would probably because I told him a couple of the doors that wouldn't need the access, and it went down by that 7,000, and that was like 2 or 3 doors. So if the sheriff's office doesn't want them,
down.
it could go down a little bit more. I mean, Dave doesn't want them. I talked to Jim Wenning. He said they would be kind of nice. You know?
There's what, 4 outside doors? 2 in the back?
Yeah, the 2 in the back, that one, and then that one,
That needs to
and
be
that would be the
replaced.
one that needs to be replaced because the access wouldn't work with it. There's something wrong with the outer door. There's a metal part that's supposed to spring out to stop the wind from coming in, and it doesn't like to come out. I spent a few minutes trying to fix it, and I can't get it to fix. So
Does anybody use it other than to exit, like for entry?
no, nobody uses it. When Mahoney worked here, I think he used it to go out to his office, but nobody else uses it.
Can you put it as an exit only door? Is that an option?
I'm sure we
Use
could.
it for emergency exit.
I mean, we could
Exit
turn
only
it into
door.
an exit
And you
only
don't need a
door.
key fob. You need a
Yeah.
card fob.
I'm sure we could.
1,000 on replacing it.
Yeah. The only thing is like the hardware in that door, there's something wrong with it. There's like a 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch gap where wind comes in. Right now it's stuffed full of some kind of paper. Brittany found that just to keep the wind out. I couldn't get the thing to go, so I just said I don't know what to do right now. It's got pry marks on it because I know Mickey's worked on it, Daryl's worked on it, I went and I worked on it. It doesn't want to work. So I would think changing the type of door would be okay. Not doing a key access, doing an exit only would be fine. We just need to maybe get a different type. I think this quote was for something similar to what the front doors are,
So it costs half that maybe.
probably.
Carly, do you have anything for us?
No, sorry, except sorry about the Packers, man.
School.
I was there. It was rough, I know. I had
Nightmare is
stitches on my
on.
face.
We both have.
Yeah. Jesus.
I mean, I was all excited, so you know.
Right, you guys have anything?
I guess if you guys have a couple minutes, I'll just catch you a couple things. Just I thought I'd give you guys a couple updates, kind of what we have going on. Nothing real high level here. We'll just kind of give you a preview of what's maybe coming here. But first, we typically resequence our mine plan every year in January. So either on January 8th, if we have it together, if not February, I'll bring you guys in a new map with the new sequence so you guys can kind of see some of that. With that being said, you can kind of see where we are right now, just roughly on this one. Still, I'm going to just talk on it. So we're Minn Kota Center. We are on a mine plan working out this way for about 3 more years, and then additionally we have one that's coming down through here. That's where we're at right now. We'll be in those areas for the foreseeable future. I guess the one just for the next few years. With part of that, this south mine unit that we're progressing this way. They're knocking pins out. Not going to say that I don't think there's any going to be real big asks down in here this year directly, but we are looking at some permit expansion down in this year. Some of that's tied around that county road approvals that we had earlier this year, so we're kind of just working with the landowners and mineral owners down in that area currently. The one other thing I'll kind of maybe add on this map is I know we've came in here a few times talking about federal stuff and it's delayed. That's what some of this stuff west of center is kind of delayed around. We're probably sitting in the best position we ever have as a mine on the federal side of things. We, over the last 2 years, we've got 3 federal mine plan leases and mine plan approvals to be able to mine that. We are the only mine in the country that has done that in this time period. Nowhere else has got one. So those areas were basically that area out there, some stuff here on the old Larry Schmidt place, and then the stuff back behind Jesse Latinus. So those set us up really well from the federal side, which has been a big hang up. There are a few more federal pieces out there. They're not directly in our mine plan thing, but with the change of administration, we probably will be going after them. Just again, nothing really probably on the county side. It's more just an update to you guys. Kind of looking forward to what's our 2025 look like. Got one, probably the one that affects you guys the most a little bit was, I know we talked a little bit high level, but looking at positioning an overpass in this area approximately to access our new mine area that we'd be opening in about 3 to 4 years. That overpass, we're working with more engineering right now, and they're to the phase of they've started kind of having some designs of what they would be, and so we'll be looking to probably have a public information meeting on that in February or March. We'll have to see still exactly when they have that, but that's kind of the date that they have given us. So there'll be something coming up with that we'll schedule with you guys, that you guys will have a public hearing on our proposed designs. And with that, again, it'll kind of be working with you guys on a request to work along that road is ultimately what the request will be, is working along that road, modifications to that road. Coming something back around from last year, we did kind of jointly submit grant for funding for the road, the highway into BNI for some state funds. Wasn't selected, but that's something we're going to work with Morgan to resubmit again this year for a portion of that road for improvement, especially on that first, that stretch basically to the. I think we requested funds to like the golf course, and I think we even requested all the way to the boat ramp, since that's what the public was using basically, that stretch of that road.
Do the whole road.
What?
Do the whole road.
Wow. Well, so it would be from the highway to
the golf course?
No, the highway to the boat ramp is what we requested. And then
like the whole
we would
stretch.
do the rest of
Oh,
the rest of that. Then we consider that's on us. So yeah, going past your place is a couple.
You want to pave right into your house?
No, I don't want it paved into my house. That's okay. That's
And then the last thing, just throw there was I mentioned a little bit of the story. So BNI has started a little bit of a gravel exploration of our own as well, along with development of some of those core areas that Dave mentioned. So we will keep you guys in touch, and if we have something that we believe that would be usable for you guys as well, we'll try to work jointly on that and try to help out the county the best we can. So those are the updates I had. If you guys have questions, feel free to bounce off me, but otherwise we'll have continue to be here as things progress. So.
They make the boards like this one here, where you can, I don't know if you can put a thing in so everybody can see it.
I was actually going to bring that up as a possible use for ARPA funds
Because then
as
like your
well.
map could come right up on the screen.
Oh,
Getting like a, even almost like a TV where we can plug a laptop into it, and you could. I was going to bring that up as a possible option. Our IT guy could get us some quotes on that if you want some, because I thought about that too. Rather than all the paper maps and a projector screen, getting an actual screen where we can zoom in if we need to or whatever. So
yeah, and I'll say something like that really easy for us to either send you the map at a time or bring a USB or something.
Yep. That would be a really, really good idea.
I know that one time Jason was here. He brought his projector.
He did, because he asked if we had one, and we don't even have a projector here. So
Okay. Well, like I said,
Let's
in
get
the
with
short
the
term, I think I
times.
said I'll always bring you guys a new paper map, but I think that's a good idea as well.
Okay.
That's what we utilize.
And we'd love to update you guys in the future on things too. I know I'm often just here, but we've been actually trying to figure out who within our company might come out from Grand Forks and give you a more formal update. But I know I've been watching Greg, and if you want more information from us, we'd be happy to do something on a more regular basis.
Great.
Other than just giving you a hard time about football.
Well, I think there's still a lot of curiosity as far as tundra. you know. There's a lot of talk and everybody's wondering what's going on, and all I could share is I've heard about the company from Canada, you know,
Yeah,
backing out, but
we're still trying to figure it out. If they can make it pencil out. So no decision has been made yet. Hopefully it will be made within the next few months, I believe.
Got more here.
Yep.
Okay. I scratched this stuff down this morning.
Okay.
We have 11 different committees that, as commissioners, we have to serve on.
Okay.
So, I chose the ones I want to be on.
you're the veteran.
There's one that I got this from Jaden, but there's one she neglected to put on, which is Dakota Central Human Services.
Oh, shoot. Because we just reappointed you last year, so it was kind of one of those that we didn't need to redo.
Yeah, I have a new idea for that one.
So is that working with this office or what's that?
It's the social, the social services.
Yeah, that's the Fort County, that's our zone, yeah.
They're based out of Washburn,
Out of Washburn,
Plain
yeah,
County.
yeah.
Yeah.
All the meetings are pretty much Washburn. Or the other one ties into that West Central Human Service. That's they have 2 meetings per year. That covers a 5-zone area. And this other one, Dakota Central, is a 1 zone. Yeah.
Oh, that's more of a regional thing.
Yeah, that's more of a regional.
Okay.
So I chose. I've been on that Dakota Central Human Service Board for 25 years. Probably, and I've
That's somebody else.
I've spent enough time on there. So I would stay on the West Central Human Service Regional 1. Some of these don't meet very often, all these boards. And Solid Waste Management, Land Reclamation, Dakota Prairie, RC&D. And between Dave and Rob, I'd like to get those forward, and you guys could figure out something different you want for yours. I think we put Dave on this one last week right here.
Mm-hmm.
Right, there's Oliver County.
The LEPC, yep.
Now you've always been on the coal conversion.
I've been on the
right?
coal conversion for 18 years probably on that one. And I'm ready to get off that one, so you would fit better on
They
that
meet
one
every
right now
month?
than me. No, they meet 2 or 3 times a year.
Okay.
Yeah. And they have a meeting. That's why I want to do this now, because they have a meeting on the same date, Zoom, as our next meeting of the commissioners here on January 8th. There's a meeting later in the afternoon that day.
Where is that meeting usually at?
They're doing a Zoom meeting this time. And they usually rotate between Washburn, Hayes and Beulah, and Center for that meeting, wherever they can get a meal. And I know Rob wanted to be on the golf board.
These are all mainly a couple, 2-3 times a year.
Yeah,
Most of them.
I don't know. We haven't, our representative for the Lewis and Clark Council and the Dakota Prairie RC&D, we haven't attended the meeting there, I think, for maybe 8 years.
Oh,
probably. And I think they meet quarterly, I believe.
Okay.
But we're going to get that going again. So we have people at that meeting.
Okay.
At their meetings. So they do grants and funding between those two.
Now, the Lewis and Clark one, that's with Brent Ekstrom and them?
No, that'd be the Lewis and Clark one. You said yeah, that's extra, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then job development, do they meet?
We donate to that every year, but I don't believe they've met for some time now. I don't know. I think Daryl was on that board, so I don't know. They never met. But we
Is that
fund them
just
every
the
year.
county?
That's city, county, city and county.
Yeah. So Deb Claris does the budget sheet for us for that every year.
and they always just put in for 2,500. But I don't know that we've ever actually written a check out of it before. She's never come in with any sort of requests as far as, you know, they just put in 2,500 in the event there's something that we can do for them.
Is that what, that we can work with this?
Yeah,
Okay.
usable for me.
Okay, another one is, which one of you wants to be the chair?
You're not,
Decide that between you.
you're not volunteering?
You've done
No.
it forever.
I've done the
You've
chair
done a
for,
good job.
I think 12, 14 years in a row now. And should know by next meeting. I think Dave just volunteered.
No. Dave's on enough boards.
Can I get a copy of that list so I make sure I got it in
Well, I
my
got a mess,
record
got a written
keeping?
mess, it's a mess here.
I'll just copy this
Yeah.
off of here. That's fine.
We'll need to know that by the next meeting.
Well,
Well, we do have to reorganize the board on January 8th, so I take over as temporary chair for about 2 seconds to figure out which one of you is going to do it.
yeah, it comes to that. We all have a chance to make a nomination at that time.
So what happens if somebody refuses the nomination? Then what do we do?
We're all grown ups, we'll figure it out.
Patrick.
I haven't the slightest idea. Google it out. Just go on the back, and whichever one comes back gets the nomination.
I think what happens if we can't agree on it, I think I have to take it again. But
I wouldn't
we're
want to do that.
We're gonna do it different. So, anything else we didn't cover on here?
Like, is the road department, is that under a portfolio or?
That's a different list.
That's a different
totally
list,
different.
yeah.
That's
Yep,
a
that's
totally
the HR
different
list.
list.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
That's basically in-house and this is out-of-house.
Yes.
and I don't know how we're gonna handle that.
Right? My
Yes,
We don't
yes.
have enough.
These are all boards that
outside
are
of
on the
out-
outside of the
outside of the
Yeah.
house, yep.
And then the portfolio is what you handle within. So,
Internally.
yes.
If somebody can figure out how to handle which ones, how many are there here?
15.
Well,
15? So if they're, which five?
you'll have to double sum up. So auditor, planning and zoning, tax, and risk manager all need to go together.
Okay,
Do you want me to come up with a list?
Yes,
Okay, yes, I can do that.
Because
Yes.
we would come up with 3 totally different ones.
Yes, I will come up with a list, and then if we need to, switch a couple here and there, that's fine. But I'll make sure to put the ones that should be
Combined.
together under one person, or just in a list, and then you guys can decide which ones you want. Whoever you want to deal with the most,
Okay.
or the least. Yes, I will do that before the next meeting.
So I did have a chance to take a look at the statute about chairman, and you guys need to elect a chairman at the next meeting. It's a popularity contest week.
Yeah. Thanks for the info. I'm not too popular around the county anymore, so I probably won't get a vote. I hope so.
So what is this one different? Dakota Central Social Services. What is that different
That's
from
the one for the zone that's.
That's the same thing as what Rob is. She must have just put that on there because
Okay.
it's kind of
That's
tied
Dakota
with
Central,
our.
that's our 4 county.
Yeah,
Sheridan, McLean, Oliver, and Mercer counties.
Okay.
because technically, these outside ones are also a part of your portfolio. Your portfolio is everything that you are responsible for as a commissioner. So it'd be internal and external. But what these boards are the out of county,
Town stuff.
stuff that doesn't happen within this building.
So as far as the auditor and clerk of court and all of them, state's attorney, sheriffs, how does that, what do you do? Just ask for a report from them or what?
Well, you become like our contact person. So if there's an issue that arises within one of our offices, you know, say I have Rob or, you know, whoever, I go to Rob with my issue or I need this or, you know, whatever for my office. He then compiles a report for you at the meeting rather than me coming to you at the meeting saying, my office needs this office needs this. You're responsible for my office. If there are some, you know, issues within an office, you know, with another employee, with whatever, you're the person that we go to. And then Alice becomes involved as HR as well. But in general, I get to go to one of you and vent if I need to, or just ask for stuff that I need or whatever. So
She wants to establish a flow chart, or the corporate flow chart.
Kind of.
Like county roads, for instance, here.
Mhm.
Somebody has that portfolio.
What, Patrick?
Well, I was just gonna say, as far as, you know, issues with employees and stuff like that, I think the proper person to go to first would be our human resource agency.
Right.
Because they're record keeping, they're best equipped to deal with that sort of thing initially.
But then it would be elevated to a commissioner should it need to be.
Right.
And if that happens to involve the office you're holding as portfolio, it would go to that person.
Alice is your initial contact.
Yes. Except when I need, you know, if somebody needs equipment, then you go to your portfolio holder saying like, I need a new computer or whatever.
Well, somebody, like other counties, somebody have the portfolio for the like county roads and sheriff department. They'd be under the same portfolio, and whoever's in charge of that portfolio, that's the one people in the county call.
Yes.
They don't call the commissioners.
Yes. Yep.
Like here, other counties, the road superintendent receives just about all the road problems. Where here in Oliver County, they go through us usually, then to you. So that could change, maybe get people used to knowing who to call.
Yes.
So what does the solid waste management do?
I have no idea. I put myself on that board, but
Yeah.
I think Daryl had that. Was it Daryl that had that one?
Yeah.
I never heard you guys.
To my knowledge, I don't think that board's ever met. That's to my knowledge, though.
I have no idea. I just have to keep track of what boards you're on. I don't babysit you and make sure you go to your meetings.
How do we know when the meetings are?
They're supposed to contact you.
Okay.
Or if they don't have a contact for that county, they'll call my office and then I can get it to them. But I have yet to get any sort of calls from most of these boards.
This is probably a committee which mentioned that the state requires because of all the garbage dumps in the cities and all that.
So
Yeah. So I'm sure they're required to have some county member on
just in case.
Yep. Anything else, anybody? Adjourn.